Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be doing another reaction video, but before I do so, I would like to thank everyone for supporting our channel. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and leave a comment in the comment section and just tell us how you're liking what we're doing so far. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at something that is very rare. It's a process in the Philippines called Pagpag, where they recycle food, in particular meats, from the dumpsters in the Philippines. And this happened in very poor areas in the Philippines. So we're going to take a look at this video and we're going to talk about it right after this.
Really, really good. You know, there is one final form of adobo though that really makes me kind of nervous.
Oh, which one?
That is Pagpag Adobo. When I came to the Philippines last time, I tried Pagpag for the first time.
How was it?
The flavor was just kind of like dried fried chicken. Honestly, if it wasn't for the commenters in the last video, there's no way I would ever eat Pagpag again.
I've tried Pagpag Adobo before, 20 years ago, I think, or 15 years ago.
You're still alive, you made it, right?
Yes, I made it.
You're gonna join me, right? Let's go get some Pagpag Adobo.
I'm really sorry. You're on your own, dude. But I wish you luck.
Thank you. I might need it.
So I'm back in Happy Land to see some friends and to eat something I said I never could. Pagpag Adobo.
Once again, back in Happy Land. There is just something I find so fascinating about this place.
In some weird and twisted way, adobo might be the perfect way to cook pagpag, a technique historically used to fight off contamination. A combination of high heat, salt and vinegar all combined in an attempt to stave off bacteria. And I'm not in any way trying to claim that this is safe, but when it comes to pagpag, you may as well pull out all the stops.
Very nice.
Louis, how you doing, man?
Hello po.
It's good to see you. Look, I really appreciate you cooking up the Pagpag Adobo for me. It's something that I've been thinking about ever since last time I was here in Happy Land. Let's just try some. Let's dive right in. Can we grab a bite?
Yes.
All right. Go straight for it. All right, guys, here we go. Moment of truth. This is Pagpag Adobo. So, wow. Is that different or what? This is hugely different from last time when I had the Jollibee version of Pagpag. Last time I copped a lot of criticism because I had a very full piece of Pagpag. This now today is an adobo Pagpag. You still get that kind of like vinegary, incredibly salty flavor. It's really nothing like the adobo we had at the markets at all. That's for damn sure. And you're sort of picking away at the bones, the remaining bits of chicken that are left in and around the joints of the chicken. You get a really, really strong salty flavor. I think that this preservation method, the vinegar and the salt, is kind of what makes this maybe a bit less dangerous. Louis this morning sold 80 kilos of just the rubbish that he's collected. He would have processed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilos of trash, and that's what he's got this food from. We're going to try one more piece, and then we're going to dig in a little bit to Louis' lifestyle. You know what? It shouldn't be a surprise. It's fairly juicy. There's a good amount of chicken in that. It's got a really different flavor. You're never going to really try chicken like this. It almost tastes like a chicken curry. It's actually pretty good. It's just the mental block, the hurdle here of seeing it getting cleaned off. It's a bit that's hard to get past. Once you actually try it, it becomes relatively normal pretty quickly. And if you were served this without anybody telling you what it was, it'd be good. It'd be like a really salty chicken adobo, chicken stew almost. So Louis, thanks for doing this. How often do you eat this meal?
Every other day.
Every other day?
Yes.
Where do you usually find it?
Garbage ng chowking, mga fast food.
Is it really common here in Happy Land? Does everybody eat pagpag?
No, the others do not eat.
Wow, that was fascinating, I should say. And honestly, I don't know where to start. But first, I think the first thing that jumped out at me was the name of the community, Happy Land. That was the first thing that stood out to me. That was the name of the community, and it's pretty much a dumpster community. And I've been saying for a while to people that I'm close with that I feel like the Philippines and Jamaica, because I'm originally from Jamaica. The Philippines and Jamaica have so much in common. Like, I've been working alongside people from the Philippines for the past 15 years, I would say. And there's so many similarities with our culture in terms of some of the stuff that we eat and just the culture in general. For example, I'll give you one example. The Philippines and Jamaica are number one and number two in terms of remittance per capita in the world. Like, these two countries, you'll find people from the Philippines anywhere you go in the world. Anywhere you go in the world, you find people from the Philippines. And it's the same thing, back in the days, people used to joke about Jamaicans, like, we're like salt, we're like in everything, we're everywhere. And it's the same thing with people from the Philippines. So anywhere in the world you go, you'll find someone from the Philippines, someone from Jamaica. And because of that, those two countries, in terms of remittance, you would have to say remittance is a main driving force of those two economies that keep the countries afloat, because people from the Philippines go to Dubai, they come to Canada, to America, and they work and they send back money to take care of their families. And the same thing we could say about Jamaicans too. And what is so fascinating about it is because I've had the opportunity, I wouldn't call it a privilege, but I've had the opportunity to spend time in a dumpster community. And it is a community. It's back in the 80s in Jamaica, where I grew up and where I went to school, it was close to a dumpster community. And let me try to describe it for you. It's like in every country there's like a few, main areas where they the garbage trucks and big companies would dump waste coming out of industrial buildings, coming out of commercial, residential building. They'll just take it and they'll dump it in those areas. So like, I've spent time in a dumpster community, and what happened a lot is that it's a huge landmass. And sometimes not sometimes, but what normally happens is that people that are homeless or people who do not have the resources to afford housing, they will go in those areas and they'll build what's known as like shacks, concrete, sometimes, or mostly wooden structure. And they would build communities right, not even next door, right inside where the dump is. And in Jamaica, that was the case. So like, they're a big community, like right there, close to the dump. And most people in that community would earn their living from the dump. So they would go and they would do recycled plastic. They'll do glass. They'll do any type of recycle thing that you can think of from the dump. They'll go dumpster diving, get those materials, and they'll clean them up, package them, and sell them to recycling plants. So I've spent time in those communities, and what I can say about those communities is like, people are very carefree from what I remember, because there's not a lot of bills that they have to pay. They don't have to pay mortgage because the land, they just took over the land. And so people are very carefree. So you go and it's just like almost like a happy feeling at all time, even though these people are living below the poverty line. But it's just that because they live in that era, there's not much expenses that they have to take care of. And, I remember, I think I was about maybe 10 years old at the time. And what used to happen is that a lot of the big companies in Jamaica, they used to, whenever there is something that happened with the plant, whether it's a bread company. I remember what happened with a cheese company once, that they had some cheese on the production line and something went wrong in terms of ingredients or whatever, and they had to dump like truckloads of cheese. They were good, but they were just not good to be on the supermarket shelf. And they would take it down to the dump and they would just dump it. And I remember, like, I was like 10, and, people went to the dump and they dumpster dive and they got hold of those cheese and they washed them and they cleaned them and they cut them and they put them in plastic bags and they took them all over the city to be sold. And, I remember as a youngster, police coming to our school, and everyone that bought the cheese like had to throw it in the garbage bin because, the police had to track everywhere that people were selling this cheese. So, yeah, like these dumpster community, like it's a real thing. So that would be my first observation reacting to this video. Yeah, so and my second observation now would be the Adoba. Like Adoba is a process that they use in the Philippines to cook, and it also like cures while it cooks. So they use vinegar, they use soy sauce, they use pepper. And what's interesting to me is that process came from Spain and evolved into what it is today. And that was a process that was used hundreds of years ago to keep bacteria from meat. Why that is so interesting is that Jamaica was also a colony before the Brits took over. Spain was in Jamaica first, and we also have this thing called escovitch that we use. Escovitch fish, where we also use a lot of vinegar. We use pepper like Scotch bonnet, onions and stuff like that. But what's interesting is that same recipe was used hundreds of years ago, and even as far back as I would say 40. I think it's still being used, like 40 years ago. Because when I was a child, like there are a lot of people that didn't have refrigeration, and so what would happen? Like you would kill like a pig, and they would cut it up, and they would pour like vinegar, put it in a bucket, vinegar. They would put like pimento seed from Jamaica. They would put Scotch bonnet pepper, and they would put like a ton of salt in it, and that would preserve the meat. So that is, I found that interesting. That the similarity in that was a process that they are accrediting to Spain, that Spain had that process hundreds of years ago, and to see like the Philippines with the process, Jamaica with the process, but it started out pretty much the same, but evolved into something different. In Jamaica now, it's like escovitch, and it's used for like fish, and it gives the fish like a particular flavor, with the Scotch bonnet, with the pimento, and with the vinegar as the main ingredient in it. And to see like in the Philippines now, the adobo, which the vinegar is the main ingredient with the salt, and the only difference is like the soy sauce. So I found that piece also very interesting. I think that was my second. Okay, so my third and final takeaway is that for the past, I would say 4 years, there's been this new, I don't know if it's a phrase or whatever, but uh, we've been hearing about food insecurity in North America for the past 4 years, I would say. It's become a word that's been used, a phrase that's been used quite a bit. And we've seen the rise in North America in people going to the food bank. We have seen a rise in homelessness in North America. And, just watching this video, like, I just wonder, like, what's happening in North America? It's really confusing to me in terms of, food insecurity. Because at the same time, Canada and America, when you calculate the amount of waste in terms of tons of food that goes into the garbage, into the landfill per year, Canada and America waste more food than at least 50 of the next, out of the 190 countries that are recognized. Canada and America waste more than at least the next 50 or more countries. We waste the amount of food that's calculated that's been wasted in North America. It's like off the charts. And like, I just wonder, like, where do we draw the line? Like, we see people lined up at food banks. We see homelessness in North America, like in some of the major cities. We see, like in Toronto, there's like a all-time high in terms of homelessness. Like, we've never seen this numbers before. In New York, in LA, like all across North America, there's a rise in homelessness. But at the same time, we're seeing record numbers of food going to waste. And to me, I don't know about anyone else, but that is confusing. And one of the things, like on this journey with this channel, doing this with my kids, like, I try to expose them to different cultures across the world, that, Canada, we're more than Canada. Like, the world is more than Canada. The world is more than the USA. There's Asia, there's Africa, there's the Caribbean. So I try to expose them to food from other cultures, just other cultures in general. And unfortunately, a part of our culture in North America, like, it seemed to be waste is a big part of our culture. Like, the amount of food that's been thrown out by hotels, the amount of food that's been thrown out by restaurants and by residential homes, it's crazy. And so that's another thing that stood out to me, that they're in some, like, so-called third world countries, when you see food insecurity, like, it's real. Like, people are really struggling to put food on the table. But in North America, it just seemed a bit more confusing, because how do we have so many line up at food banks? How do we have so many people homeless, but at the same time, the amount of food going into the dump, going into the garbage, it's like off the chain. Like, supermarkets, like, they would buy a certain amount of, like, 100 boxes of, like, certain vegetables. Like, I'm doing research on this, that there's supermarkets that would buy like 100 boxes of certain vegetables, and they would only be able to use like 70, and 30 would just go straight to the dumpster. And it makes no sense to me. So like, we're on a journey, and trying to learn more about the world around us, other countries, Asia, Africa, the Caribbean. And this is something, the Pagpag, it's something that I just even though I've been around people from the Philippines for such a long time, this is something that is new to me. So tell me in the comment section, have you ever heard about this before? If you're from the Philippines, have you ever tried it before? And what do you think about it? You know, do you think it's just like, do you think we're ever going to get to a point in our existence where every single person on this earth can provide the basic, like food, clothes, and water for their family? And just leave a comment in the comment section. Tell us in this channel if you like what we're doing. Please share with a friend. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, because we're trying to grow this channel. And as I said, I'm on a journey with my kids, and I'm trying to open their mind to a broad world, like not just North America. So please feel free to follow us and share our content. And thank you for watching again, and peace. We're out.